My son stood up at brunch and said, "I don't want your loser last name anymore. My new dad says you're not a real man." So I handed him papers and said, "Sign here." 1 week later, the trust lawyer called my ex. "Ma'am, your son just forfeited his entire $2.3 million inheritance." My 16-year-old son, Brandon, publicly disowned me at a family brunch, so I let him sign away his entire future. Last Sunday at Riverside Country Club, Brandon stood up in front of 23 people. "My new dad says you're a loser. I want to take his name instead. The Harrison name actually means something." His stepfather, Greg, raised his glass. My ex-wife, Nicole, smiled like she'd won the lottery. I reached into my jacket, pulled out an envelope I'd been carrying for 3 months, and slid it across the table. "Fine, sign here." Brandon grabbed the pen and signed without hesitation. Didn't read it, didn't ask questions. Nicole raised her glass. "To Brandon Harrison." I lifted mine. "May you get exactly what you just asked for." I wasn't blindsided. I'd seen this coming for months. I run Hartley Industrial Supply, $12 million annually. Family business my grandfather started in 1967. My ex left me for Greg Harrison 3 years ago. Greg runs a tech startup that's been about to go public for 5 years. Venture capital funding, leased Tesla, zero profits. After the divorce, Brandon changed. Started saying things like, "Greg says manufacturing is dying, and real wealth comes from ideas, not labor." At parent-teacher conferences last December, Brandon told his teacher, "That's my biological father. This is my dad," pointing at Greg. That night, I called our family estate attorney. "I need the renunciation papers prepared. The Hartley Family Trust holds $2.3 million in assets. My grandfather established it in 1972 with a specific clause. Any descendant who voluntarily renounces the Hartley name through legal proceedings immediately forfeits all trust rights, forever. No appeals." Brandon had never asked to see the trust documents, never showed interest in understanding the family money. The renunciation document was simple. Standard name change paperwork. What it didn't mention was the automatic trigger buried in the trust that had existed for 50 years. At brunch, Greg announced Brandon's decision. I placed the envelope down. "Read it first," I suggested. "It's a legal document." Brandon skimmed 3 sentences before signing. "There, I'm not your son anymore." I photographed the entire table. "Documentation. You'll want to remember this day." Monday morning, the systems shut down. The $86,400 college scholarship fund, access denied. His private school tuition endowment covering $16,200 per semester, terminated. Full balance due immediately. The restored Honda Civic I'd been storing for his birthday, donated to a trade school. The $25,000 seed money for his first business, redistributed. The $2.3 million trust inheritance, gone. The future $4.2 million ownership stake in the company, gone. Tuesday, the trust lawyer called Nicole. "Your son formally renounced the Hartley name. He's no longer a beneficiary." "He's 16. That's not legally binding. California law permits minors 16 and older to petition for name changes." He signed voluntarily in front of 23 witnesses. Several recorded it. "Jonathan can't just take his inheritance." "Mr. Hartley didn't take anything. Your son voluntarily relinquished his rights by renouncing the family name. This clause was established in 1972. Wednesday, Brandon texted, "Dad, what happened to my scholarship?" I didn't respond. Thursday, Brandon called directly. "Please, Dad, something's wrong with all my accounts. You signed a legal document. Actions have consequences." "But I thought it was just a name change." "I told you to read it carefully. You chose not to. Can we fix it?" "No, you made your choice. You're Greg's son now. Ask him to help you." I hung up. Friday, Greg's Tesla got repossessed in their driveway. His funding round had fallen through. Nicole filed for emergency custody modification. The judge reviewed everything and denied the motion in 20 minutes. If he was mature enough to publicly reject his father, he's mature enough to live with the consequences. By week 3, they owed $68,400 in tuition they didn't have. Greg's company laid off 70% of staff. They tried pulling Brandon from private school, but the public school had an 83-student waitlist. Greg's company filed bankruptcy in October. He found work making $85,000, a quarter of what he'd claimed. The Tesla was replaced by a 2014 Camry. Brandon sent one final email in November about how sorry he was, how he'd been manipulated. I replied with one sentence, "You're a Harrison now. Harrisons figure things out on their own." Then I blocked his email.